Hey, sports card fans! Welcome back to another episode of Two Guys, One Hobby. How you doing, Don?
I'm great, man. How you doing today, John?
Really good, really good.
Good.
This is episode 31. Can't believe
Okay.
we've done 31 of these, and I think this is the first guest that we're going to have on that technically has a YouTube channel but doesn't create his own content. But you'll see him in live streams, a lot of collaborations recently. Great guy, great collector. I know it's going to be just an outstanding episode. I'm sure we're going to have lots of laughs, but talk about some serious things as
Well,
well.
absolutely. But before we get him on, I'm gonna get everything out now that I want to say because once he starts talking, I won't be able to
That's
get a
true.
word in. So
Yeah.
we'll just let him take over the show and we'll go from there.
Yeah. All right. Well, without any further ado, let's introduce the
All right.
one, the only Mike Petty and the Card Breakers.
Hey, what's up there, sports fans? What do you say there, John? Old Milky Tits. Nice to see you, my handsome friend. How are you, dog? Beefy cakes.
Beefy kick. Now I feel better. You didn't call me
Yep.
the card breakers. I didn't know that was part of your name.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Mike. Instead of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, it's Mike
Yep.
Petty and the Card Breakers. You know,
I
I'm quite
got
the
it.
busy breaker. I
Oh,
enjoy
yeah.
breaking. I love to have kaboomies.
Kaboomies.
Gotta have my
Yes.
kaboomies. So yeah, hey, thanks for having me on, guys. It's great to catch up again.
Yeah. So for those of you, for those who are watching here, not maybe familiar with you, again, you're popping up on a lot of collaborations, and of course, uh, all the live streams. We're seeing you pop in there and making comments. But for those of you who are not familiar with you, just maybe give a little bit of a collecting background, just what you're into and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been collecting since I was a kid. Opened up my first packs, like I think in 1969, and collected for about 6 years of pack opening and just going back in time, always trying to get old cards since I was 15 years old, pretty much. And then getting ripped off here and there along the way with the dealers, even back then, and getting back, and then just growing up and having different things to do, selling my collection, and I kind of getting back into it again. And when I was in the '80s, when it was real popular, and but still focusing a lot on the old stuff where I could, cards from the '50s, and whatnot, and uh, went through a divorce and basically, learned about community property back then. I don't know if you guys ever had that happen to you, but you know how you have
No.
it.
Yep.
Well, you've had it, so you know what that's like, right?
Yep.
Basically, they get the property and you leave the community.
Yeah.
That's the way that goes. So yeah, learned about that. And sold my baseball cards. At that time, I had sets all the way through in the '60s, and it really helped me at the time, get back on my feet and rebound a little bit. And I think we'll talk a little bit about that, where I've been. And then got into autographs in the early 2000s, just to put a few pictures up in my wife's room first, and then I had nothing back here for years in my office. I said, man, it looks pretty good. I think, and then buying fakes, and then starting to learn the signatures myself, not relying on anybody, and then getting disgusted with the fakes and again, the hobby, the scams in the hobby was all-time high, and said, I'm going to go back to my first love, which was baseball cards. So that's I've been at it for close to 20 years now, maybe a little less. And then as that time went too, my personal life got a little bit more stable, and business, I started my own business and things got a little bit better there. You get all your responsibilities taken care of, what that's like. And then having a little bit more in my golden years here, having a little bit more budget, to spend on some of the cards I always dreamed of, really.
Mhm.
That's really pretty much it.
Yeah. And your focus primary in terms of cards,
Hmm.
mainly vintage, but 50s and earlier, and then pre-war, right?
Yeah.
That's your main
Well,
focus, other
my,
than
my main my
Kaboomies.
main yeah, my main focus. Well, Kaboomies are my all-time favorite. I love those, but of course the large downtownies. You got to have
Yeah.
those too. Without what's a downtownie without a Kaboomie,
Yeah.
and vice versa, whatever the hell those are. Hey, no, but anyway, I really was into '50s and '60s, '70s when I started back into the
Mhm.
hobby because I wanted to try to replace all the stuff that I lost. But I also decided this time I didn't need all those sets.
Yeah.
You know, it was
Right.
hard getting rid of them and having to give them up. And I enjoyed having them in the binders, but I felt that I would do much better with just a smaller, concise collection.
Yeah.
And I figured out maybe I'll have 2,000 cards max at some point. I'm at about 1,600 now. And that I think 1,500 is probably about the right amount
Yeah.
for me because I've had to evacuate a couple times here from the fires, and I can realize, you know, I
Yeah.
have some at the safe, the bank, but I have a lot here, and you can only get out so much so fast, you know, in the monster boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of an issue. And then recently, once you have all those cards, and then you start going back and hitting some of the oddball things you missed along the way, and and then going into the pre-war a little bit heavier, where I started to go before the COVID, you know. But then, like you talked about coming back into the COVID, and that was like you were buying right into the teeth of the wind, you know.
Yeah.
So it was really tough. But so what I did at that point, like I saw this happening, and I don't know. Normally, you know, you never try to time any market, and I'm certainly horrible at it. If I ever, you know, it's like dollar cost average into everything I've ever done because I'm just not that smart, you know.
Mhm.
But I just knew not to buy anything, and I didn't want to sell into that. And so I had bought some really nice cards. I had started to buy, you know, like my T206 Cobbs that I wanted. I had picked up a Ruth. I got my 51 Maze and my 51 Mantle. And then I just kind of shut it down after that, you know, and went for my $10 and $15 cards. Like I went on Larry
Mhm.
Doby runs and Jim Gilliam and just off base players, not the superstars and the ones that the Ruths and the Gehrigs. I just had to ignore them because I didn't want to get caught in bidding wars. And in retrospect, I mean, the prices I think are still up
Yeah.
since then anyway for that stuff. But now it's gotten such that it's not for the faint of heart anymore. You know, I mean, I've got to be very careful about, you know, what I'm adding at this point, what I'm
Mhm.
doing, because I'm not buying threes and fours, and I don't have that kind of a budget. So I'm buying, you know, I'm trying to buy ones and twos that kind of look good. They have a little paper loss on them.
Yeah.
Even on the front, if that's all I can get at that time and it looks somewhat good, you know, I'm the king of low eye appeal.
Well,
So,
we can see that.
I
Well,
mean, look,
no, but
especially
I've
with the
seen some of
side
your
view.
cards, and
Oh, you're talking
it's
about cards. Sorry.
Oh,
it the number grade may be low,
yeah.
but you I mean, I always look at it. It's relative. For a one, you know you're going to have certain faults in it. For a two, you know you're going to be creases, maybe some paper loss. You know, the corners are going to be really rounded.
Mhm.
But within those grades, you can still find really nice examples
There's
for that
no
grade. You're
doubt.
not going to
Yeah.
find a two that's going to look like a five. You're
I
not.
mean, not all the way around, but I mean,
Yeah.
But look here. Here's a 2.5. Look how good that
Yeah.
looks.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I
the
mean, it
back
really.
is off centered. Like, I don't care about that.
I mean, I don't even see it as being that off centered, especially for those cards.
I
Yeah.
don't care.
But so that is really the key, I think. What I think that is great for the collectors now. So like I can show you some of my cards that I collected early that I just got reholdered, and you can see, you know, occasionally you hit a home run with something. Like as far as you have it centered, like I've always been looking for centered cards, but sometimes the price versus, you know, when you put that in together with the centering or whatever, you
Mhm.
take what you can
Mhm.
when you're trying to build up a collection quickly, and for, you know, and that's really what I did. Whereas I think you guys that are in your age, like John, and like on people that are on budgets for $100 and $200 a month, you can still, I think now has never been a better time to kick ass in the hobby and get your 2-3 cards a month. I mean, you always quote Greg, like what would Greg do? You know, his
Yeah.
channel. But
Yeah.
you see what he does, how he shows those cards for $40 and $50, the kind of cards that are coming out of that. And I think if you start looking between threes and fours and fives and
Mhm.
things that are centered, because
Yep.
you also know, you know, now we know more about that eye appeal. Back then, you know, I don't think I was as discerning as I am now.
Mhm.
You know, and even now, I don't, on certain things I don't care. You know,
Yeah.
that it's what I do care more about are these effing holders that they don't put the cards in right. That's what. So we're all
Uh,
anal to some extent, you know, as a
yep.
collector. And that's what pisses me off. Not that the card's off-centered, it's that these assholes can't put the cards in the right holders. They've got them twisted, and they're in
Yep.
there swimming around, or they're getting jammed. You know, it's just. I mean, I just find it so ridiculous, to be
And
honest.
then you see some of the cards. They put these massive cases,
Yeah.
and like the borders this thick around
Yeah,
the thing, and the cards.
I mean, SGC with that stupid notebook holder, how they put
Yeah.
half the, and they used to be so good at cutting out the holders for each card. Like they would actually trim that little foam or however they did it, but the cards just look so good in there. And now they've started going like towards the PSA with the little baggie and and occasionally you'll get the wrong holder. It'll have, clear. The card will be in there. So it's like they don't even care for what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then what are you supposed to do? Send the card back? Complain? Go ahead. They don't give a shit.
Right.
So I also will pass on certain cards that are not in the right holder. I just say, you know what, because I'm not putting up with your shit, and I'm not going to go get it reholdered and have it holdered the same way,
Right.
just haphazardly. So it's like you're just, I don't know. It's just one of the rules I have. Going back to the cards, I mean, like this is a 69 mantle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can see, I mean, it's a hard card to find centered. This is a white letter.
Yep.
So it's fairly centered, but a little bit diamond cut.
I would buy that all day long.
These are the kind of cards, though, that I was buying. And my regular 69 is more off center than this one, because it's a hard. So, like, you could start out of the 69 mantle. And try to find it centered. Get a nice 3, and you can get one cheap. Here's a Ted Williams. I know you love Teddy.
Yep. That's almost exactly. I bought a 4 at Strongsville, and the centering is maybe just a little, but that right and bottom is a little bit bigger than the top and left.
But see, this is a 7, and it's not centered.
Yeah.
It's like, so who gives a shit? I mean, why not take a 4 and get it centered?
Yep.
And play their game. Get a better card, and chances are the card will be better than that. This was one I think I did all right on. It's fairly centered.
Yeah.
But again, a little bit. But look at the diamond.
It is a bit diamond centered. Yep.
Mm-hmm. But they look good in the new holders. And then I think you have this one too, right, John?
No.
Oh, you don't have this one?
Nope.
This is on your list of.
It's pretty nice in a future list. I would love to pick up that Williams. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure if you ask Teddy nicely, he'll just give it to you, John.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I mean,
well, we haven't talked about compensation for being on the show.
Do I have
to so popular?
Oh,
and he needs to build up his YouTube rep. He probably owes us for having him on the show. So we'll talk in Strongsville.
But yeah, I'll definitely buy you a drink, like I did last year from the cooler that you brought. I think right. You were nice enough to bring the beers. But like some of these cards were just one of the ones that I had out here that I collected. But there's like if you're on a budget, and you want to look for like Ruth cards, this is the kind of stuff that I would buy. Like this Cashin. That's a real neat. You have that Santinella or that Santella butter. But like, look at it. This one's got creases up in the top, on the bottom, but it's got a great image.
Yep.
And
the image itself isn't impacted. It's the edges and corner.
And it might be, a national card for you or something like that. Or one. It's like one of those cards you'd get like once a year maybe. Mm-hmm. And then I have the Gehrig to match. And look, it's trimmed.
Okay.
But what I liked about it is somebody wrote on the back.
Oh, cool.
Lou Gehrig, first baseman, New York, and they had a date of 1930 on it.
Oh, that's
cool. So these are kind of the things that I like, on some of these cards. They don't bother me.
Yeah.
And so some ways that you can get some nice cards, and feel like you're making some progress.
Yeah. Well, what you were describing about the history of your collecting is, I think something that a lot of us have to decide upon, and over the course of our collecting, we may go back and forth. It's quantity versus quality. At right now, I am more in a quantity mindset. I want to build a collection. Now, 5-10 years from now, I may say, hey, you know what? I have all these guys. there's some that, yeah, it was nice. I built these runs or this or that, but you know what? I want to now focus on bigger cards, a smaller collection, and then I may end up selling. So, and then you may switch back again and say, well, I missed those cards. And so, but at any given point, you have to collect with the mindset of, do I want a smaller collection that has, you know, maybe some bigger cards, or however you want to define it, or I want a large collection and pick up as much stuff as I can. So
if I was in your position, like at your age, and you're already collecting for 5 years now, and you have a pretty good head start and a nice base, I mean, the quality is really important. It's like who needs all that shit around? It's borderline hoarding.
Well, I am an almost self-confessed hoarder. I mean, with my Boggs collection.
And we're all somewhat hoarders. And you're not going to stop that, because that's an enjoyment for you. And that's your thing. You're probably never going to sell that.
No.
Or get rid of it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's for you and your eyes only. And you don't give a shit about anybody else, what they think or whatever. And that's the way it should be. You know? For me, I just thought that I would collect more quality items, but look, I've got, half my collection is raw cards that are not worth grading. They're all in that VG to X grade. They're just cards that I just love, and I love looking at those, like from the 71s, the 75s, and I have very few cards graded after 72. Okay. I did buy my 71s like graded, because that was a year that I really loved, like the Clementis and the Mays, Aaron's. I wanted all those, and all the Hall of Famers pretty much are graded for the most part.
Do you have full sets in those years? I know you said you got rid of sets.
I don't. Yeah, so I think too, part of the, like when I went back and collected every player and started making player runs, part of me said, I think I just want to buy all the stars or all the top cards in case I ever want to go back and collect sets. I mean, maybe because that's if I didn't go to the pre-war, that's probably where I would be, is maybe just building a set at a time or something. And that's kind of a fun, there's still plenty of set builders out there these days too. And I see them at every show. They're digging.
I was going to say, all those binders on those tables. You see guys with their list.
Like you got the guys I run into out here on the West Coast, like Pepino and G's Mikey, and these they collect sets. A Rick Acosta, and he's got a 41 play ball. Rick does, and G's Mikey, he's working on a 52 set. So, and they've got these binders, and look, that was the way. It really is a nice way to enjoy it. Look, I mean, you pick the binder up, you set it on the table. It's like reading a book for 15 minutes or something. It's kind of a trip down memory lane for you. And, you can read the cartoons on the back. Now it's even hard for me to see the backs on some of the cards. But what I like the scan. So I have a little routine. I get the card, and then I like to scan it right away. And then I write in, in my Excel spreadsheet. I don't have the register, but I have my own register that I register it in. And then I like to look at it on the damn computer and on my iPad or phone at night sometimes, or just more than I do going to the cards. So I mean, do I really need the card? I don't know. I guess I could look at them and go, well, I really used to like that. I used to like that. And who knows if I might find myself in that same predicament. So look, we never know. My friend always says, you're only one bad decision away from going broke,
Yep.
And when you think you've had, a lot of success or what. So I try to only spend on baseball cards really as a, I mean, how do I say this? I'd be silly to say that I don't expect something back, but I really don't, in my lifetime, I don't see myself really getting out of these cards what I put into them. Even though these cards I show you, like on this one, I think I paid like $2,800 for it. That was a lot of money, but I mean, I think it's worth double at least now.
Yeah.
Cards like that. This terrible mantle, for instance. Look how off center it is. It's nice for a 4. And I like it. And what I like about it is I paid $250 for it. That's what I like.
Yeah.
When I got it. Here's another off-center one, like the Maze.
I love that card.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody loved it. And so, when I got this one, I got this with another card. I got a great deal on it, at the time, and these cards doubled. So they don't all have to be home runs, every
Mhm.
single one of them. Now the ones I'm buying today are a little bit different. Like some of the cards I picked up recently, like here's one for you. This is like, how I love these yin yangs.
Oh yeah. Yin yang.
This is the and these are
John
hard to
lives in
find center.
Yingling country. You better get that right.
Yeah.
I know. I think, didn't you bring the yin yangs, or was that
Yeah.
Sammy? You brought them. They were good too. I want
Yep.
more. But anyway, this is a tough card to find, and you got to jump on these when you can. This is a 1928. What is it? W502. This is a nice series as well. This is the Hornsby.
That's cool.
So like I started collecting Hornsby. He's on my player run, and so
Is that
that's
a humidor
what I
you got right there?
What's that?
Is that a humidor right by your printer?
No, it's my cigar case for when I smoke.
That's what I said, a humidor.
Well, it's not. It's just a regular cigar case. Just a cheap. I keep some of the cards in there and whatnot.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I mean, these are the kind of the cards I collected back then, but you can do the same thing now, only better than what I did back then, because you have a better eye. You know more than I did. I mean, I knew it, but I didn't care as much as if I was starting now, and I'm not going back and sell all your sevens, dude, and go buy threes. No, I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to continue on my path and try to make a little bit better decisions here or there. And if I didn't like any of these, I'd get rid of them.
Yeah.
I could easily turn these in and sell them. But I mean, I think we talked a little bit about it, that I just have never sold anything. But too, when you do take the Band-Aid off and you do sell something, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about off camera. It's initially like, oh my gosh, this is so painful.
Yeah,
I'm actually like, okay.
Yeah, I'm actually going to bring some cards out to Strongsville. The ones that I have in Beckett holders.
Yeah.
Now, not all of them, but because eventually my taste and eye appeal is just I need to have everything the same in PSA holders. It's just just how.
Yeah, he's one of those, Mike.
Yeah,
all PSA holders. They have to
and it's not because I like PSA. It's just how I started off, and so they all need to look the same. It's just me.
What happens is it I'll tell you. For me, I really see that number one, it limits to what you can buy.
Yeah,
you got people in their registries that are just chasing these cards like freaking fanatics, like like idiots. I must tell you, it raises the prices for most cards. So that's the first thing. Then, God forbid, if you buy any SGC and something nice that you see, and then you go to cross it over, you're going to end up getting your ass kicked that way.
Yeah.
So you're going to pay a lot for the SGC, even though you got a deal, and then you're going to go to try to turn it in, and along the way, you're going to buy a trimmed card that they're not going to cross over, or I mean, it's just total bullshit what's going on in the hobby. Or it's going to be minimum size.
You can do it, John. You can have one of each.
I mean, look at this. I mean, I love the Clemente. That's a beautiful card. I love those stand-ups. And that's a 7.
That is, but
yeah. You know how hard those are. So hard to. Are you selling that?
No.
I have one.
Yeah, so I'm going to bring some cards. I've never really, I actually traded a few Boggs cards with another Boggs collector, but it was a special, unique situation. I've never traded any of my vintage cards or anything, but I figured if I bring out some of the ones in Beckett holders that I was going to be spending money on to cross over, and again, for the crossovers, I like the card. I don't care what the grade is. That's not important. It's not
that's good
enough for me to get a return on my I lost money, so I'm not worried about
everything I've ever tried to buy from Beckett or SGC or whatever, and whenever I've sent it to SGC, let's say, I'd say 9 times out of 10 I'm a loser. So like if I go and look like on what the cards, like which ones have I lost money on that I bought 15 years ago or not made any that may have stayed the same? They're all ones that I bought in certain holders, and then I went to SGC and said, they look so much nicer. And now, like, GAI 7s that go to die as a SGC 3.5.
Yeah.
You're not going to, I'm just saying. And the Beckett's are even worse because, I mean, those BVG holders that they have, I think you're better off doing what you're doing and just trading those away and getting
Yeah.
whatever you can from them and then turning it into something that you love. You know,
Yeah.
that'd be
So
great.
I'm not going to bring all of them, but I'm going to bring some
Bring some.
that, hey, if I can trade and get maybe not even replacements, but another vintage card, I can say, okay, so I don't know. I may test myself with the trade night and just I don't know if I
Yeah,
actually pull the trigger on anything, but
you
at least
should. I
I'm
mean,
gonna. I don't want to regret going out there and going, oh man, I wish I
and
had brought some of my
if not
cards.
trade
So,
night, maybe with a dealer. You know, like if you
yeah,
see a card you really like, you know, you put these
yeah,
down. Are you interested in any of these? And if
yeah.
nothing else, it softens. Like for me, I've noticed that I, I brought I had a 52 Burke Ross Jackie Robinson. And I kind of got stuck with it on an auction at this Mile High auction. I don't know. I wanted other stuff, and I put these bids in, and it got dumped on me. It was a 5, you know, so you'd think the car would be gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you get it, and I took a look at it, it's blurry.
Mm.
It's got, you know, it's not really too sim. So I mean, it should have been a 3, and to have a new label on it with a 5, you know, it's like that's pretty embarrassing. So it just bugged me. I go, it
Yeah.
just doesn't have the eye appeal. And then I got like a 54 Journal American, I think it was, or you know those the cards Sammy loves, the ones with that came out of the paper or whatever. I think they're called American Journal,
Okay.
like 1954. And I had a Mickey Mantle, and I won one of those, and I looked at it, and it just had a terrible picture on it, and it was a 3. So you'd think it would be pretty decent, but I just didn't like it. So I got those 2 cards together. I just recently brought those to trade them, brought them to Ash. And he said, yeah, I'll get you out of this one for what you pay. I'll get you out of these for what you paid for them. And this was like, you know, 6 months ago. And the prices on those cards were up.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't like them.
Right.
So he gave me instant credit, and I was able to soften my blow.
Get something you like.
Yeah.
I got that. That's how I got the Jackie Robinson, the Leaf card that I just you know, that's been on my list for a year, and I was on my list for this year, and you know, it just certainly helped when it. I mean, it's hard to put that kind of cash out, you know. So you'll find the same thing. Don't be afraid to get rid of those Beckett's and show
Yeah.
them to the people there to soften your blow for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see, but at least I'll give myself an opportunity to see what's out there, and if
If somebody wants it, or you know that there's always a trading partner. I'm looking forward to it myself. I think it's going to be fun.
What day are you guys getting into Strongsville?
I'm getting there on Thursday, I think.
Yeah, Thursday night.
Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm getting there about 4 o'clock myself. What about you?
Friday for me.
Friday.
I took Friday off. I'll leave early in the morning.
Well,
And
it
then
doesn't start
are
until
you staying
Friday
the night?
afternoon, right?
You staying the night, Don?
Oh yeah, I'm staying until
Okay.
Sunday.
Okay, good. All right. So at least
Yeah.
you're staying. Are you rooming with somebody?
I just found out last night. I thought I was rooming with Chris from Missouri because he had a bunch of rooms, and he goes, "Oh,
Shit.
you're rooming with Mike Moynihan." I was like, "Okay."
You are, or he is? They already got you a room.
Apparently, I
Oh, that's all right.
am.
I'd much rather be with Mike than with Yogi.
Yeah.
Can you imagine with that CPAP machine?
I've roomed with him a few times. He's not too bad, except
Oh,
when
man.
he walks around. He tends to walk around naked a little bit.
I roomed with it with Chris a couple days at I think the last time in Chicago.
Yeah. He's a great guy too. I mean,
Yeah,
lots of fun, and you know, he certainly makes the time there fun. That's for sure. I'm looking forward to spend some time with
That
him.
show owes that dude some gratitude because
Oh yeah.
first year I went, there was 3 YouTubers there. Then there was 7 of us, and he was one of them.
Is that
And I
right?
remember telling Chris, I'm like, don't get your hopes up, you know, because I
he
didn't know
wasn't
if
even
he
he wasn't
like it
even
or
on
not.
the YouTube that much back then. I mean, 3 years ago, right? He hasn't been on
He
that
was
long.
the first year he went because that's how I knew about him.
Right.
And then,
Right.
like I said, you know, we were telling him like it's a small show. We didn't know. I didn't want to build it up to be something like the National, and you get there because back then it was in a hotel. The hotel where we stay at, that's where the show was.
Right.
So it was basically just 2 rooms,
Well, I mean, like I said,
but it was just loaded
I've
with great
never
stuff.
had so much damn fun. It was one of the first shows I had been to in quite a while. Certainly, you know, anything of that like that. I think I had been to one of the Burbank shows that you know, Burbank Sports Cards puts on before that, and it was okay. But there was just something about that staying there, partying, and then being able to like literally just walk right across over there, and then go to lunch, and you'd see everything in 2 hours, and
Yeah.
then go back, and
Yeah, I
it
mean,
was
the National is what it is, and it's
yeah,
fantastic. But
yeah.
what I like about Strongsville is you can just run into these guys and hang
Oh,
out. It's much easier. It's not
you see what they're
so big.
buying, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You can help. Every time I was buying something, I'm looking for Orlando. I'm gonna go, where's Orlando? Okay, Orlando, come here, take a look at it. Because these guys, they have much better eyes than I do. And I found myself even helping out Chris from Missouri a couple of times there. He was looking at something, and he's got his glasses like
Oh,
this, like a
yep.
One of these.
twisted, yeah, one
Yeah.
of those, and
Yeah.
he can't see. I go, hey, dude. I go, that card is practically cut in half. I go, walk away. You don't want that thing.
Cut in half.
It was bad. And anybody he throws it down, okay. I mean, that's the kind of fun that you have there. And then, like when I was writing a check, I had all these people around me watching that, and they were taping that, and that was a classic, and that was just so much fun. I didn't
Well,
know
you
how
just
to.
said it too. You had Orlando come over. Without YouTube, we don't have all these resources. We know all these people that know,
It
and we know
really,
what they know. And it's like,
John Newman, I used to laugh at him because I've been on YouTube for a long time. I've been watching things. I've been giving people shit in the
yeah,
chats and the comments, ad nauseum, like for years. But the one thing he always said, and I laughed at, he says, "The hobby is the people." That's his big tagline. And I would say that's no, it's not. I guess the cards, but
right.
it really is. I mean, it definitely does make your hobby experience that much more fun, just to share it with other like-minded. And even if, like I said, if they collect modern or they collect different things, it doesn't matter. We're all collectors in some degree or another, and you really should collect what makes you happy. If collecting all the shiny cards it makes you happy, and
Yep.
you're not taking a beating on it, or maybe you're smarter than everybody else, that you're not, as long as you're not doing breaks and just losing your ass and putting it on
We even
credit
like
cards.
we were down the south visiting schools with my kids, and I stopped at Mangini's house, saw his room, met up with Drew for dinner one night, met up
Yeah.
with Alex Bowman 53 for breakfast. Like it was just awesome. Like I
And
told my family, I'm going out for an hour at breakfast with these
And they
guys.
they say, "I'll see you later." Like, we don't need you anyway. And then
Right.
you can go have fun for an
But here's an
hour.
example here. So I don't collect autographed baseballs. This is the only one I own, but I thought it was cool with the Hall of
Stan,
Fame
the
and his
man
name, the
musician.
hits. But before I bought it, I texted Jake. He's got all his autographed balls. Hey, can you come over and take a look at this?
Right.
And he did, and he goes, "Okay, here's what it's worth."
Right.
And that looks legit to me. And so
You
it was
could
like,
tell. I mean,
okay,
he
if you
signed a lot, and he's got a very easy
yeah,
signature that you don't really see too many forgeries. And that's a hard
no,
ball to find with all the
yeah,
salutations and inscriptions on it with the hits. And I've got it. I have one of his balls right there in back of me. I used to collect balls and autographs. In fact, that's what I wanted to talk about now. I mean, autographs is like some of the things that, like, if you don't have to get an autograph card.
Mhm.
These are things like, look at this autograph. I mean, I collected this in my autograph days.
Mm.
Look at that! Look at that beautiful penmanship on
Yeah.
oh,
this.
I know,
You don't get this on a baseball card.
No.
That big
not
white
now.
spot, And I didn't have to get it in a PSA or anything to tell me it's real. And here's another one, like a Gil Hodges.
Hmm.
And I have a lot
That's
of
cool
8 by
how he
10.
signed it along the back.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that it's real. I've seen his signature before, especially on these. So I don't need to send it to PSA. I thought I had pulled them out. I thought, maybe I will, but then I said no. And then I got this one. Like, this isn't. Like, I think I got this for like $50 because
Mm.
nobody bid on it because it's to Robert, and I'm not Robert, but it's his best wishes, Mickey
Oh,
Mantle,
yeah. Yep.
and it's signed. That's an old signature. That's like from the
I
early
was gonna say
'60s.
that's a different
Yeah.
signature.
Yeah, different than what we're used to. And here's another one that I got for less than $100. Look at this thing. It's a Type 1 photo. If you look close enough, you can even see the indentations of the
Yes.
Sharpie.
I saw it. Yeah.
For a brief minute there, which is just crazy. But I mean, there's still these bargains out there that you can find if you know Mantle's autograph. Like, I can look at a Blink and see that, from the work I've done.
That
in
Mazeroski
autographs.
on the back.
Actually, it was from my wife's office. It's she's a Yankee fan. It was Billy
Oh,
Martin.
Billy
Okay.
Martin. I saw
Yeah.
the pose and saw Bill. I
Yeah.
thought it was Mazeroski.
Just the other day, I pulled it. I was in a frame, and she changed her office around. She's a Yankee fan, so she's got all that. But I mean, I've got tons of these photos. So I mean, that's another avenue. Don't be afraid to get a photo or a ball. I mean, you don't have to pay. I mean, here's an example. Like my buddy Tony, Southern Collector. He's looking for the Sandy Koufax. He's really big into on-card autos right now, which I mean, we think that that's going to be the next boom or the next, because they're hard to find. He's looking for low pop and all this kind of crap. But he's got that beautiful Sandy Koufax, that blue Retardo, I call
Oh,
it.
yes.
Yeah.
That Venezuelan. And it's at one of the auctions. And it's a PSA 10. Okay. You look at that I mean, not the card. The card was, I don't even think it was graded, but the autograph.
Oh,
You
okay.
look at the autograph, and we got pictures here today if you could see it, but I mean, it is blurry. It's literally, as somebody who's like opines on his autograph, I think it's a 2 because you can't read it. It's signed with a fat Sharpie. It just looks like shit. And the card went for 10,000 because there's only 5 of them. You know?
Yeah, George Diamond Yard just got one autograph. He sent it to.
He got
Koufax.
one autograph too.
Yeah, but he had the card and he sent it to Koufax.
Well, so did TJ.
Okay, and he paid a mint for it.
Yeah, so
Like,
did TJ.
Koufax charges like.
So I didn't realize it was George that had that as well. But so I saw TJ's as well. His is just signed in a different spot, and and he got a 10, and it's a 10. You know what I mean? I mean, that would be something. That's what I would want. So I'm telling Tony, like, I mean, why would you give a shit that that's a 10 when it looks like shit? You know, and you're going to pay 10, 12,000, and maybe you pay 20,000 for the copy that George has, or I don't know what his looks like. You know?
Well, Mike, remember in the day to get a baseball card signed was like, oh my God, that's horrible.
It was.
You ruined
the card. Yeah.
I never once, and that's why I'm really surprised all the cards that were out there that were signed.
Yeah.
You know, but because some kids, I guess too, they have the foresight to send them through the mail, or they got them in person. But like we always brought an 8x10 or a ball, and it was more. And well, Tony would say, you know, I want it because he touched that card. You know, he touched that card. You know, but I said, you know, he touched that ball too.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
You know,
that photo.
He had to hold that ball, and you can get a nice white, gorgeous old ball from Sandy Koufax for probably $400 or $500 instead of getting a card for, you know, that's rare that you can't see the autograph. That literally, if I looked at that, it would drive me crazy. I wouldn't be showing that. I wouldn't. I would be saying, like, what the hell am I doing? PSA 10, 1 of 1.
Yeah,
like they like to say.
I'd love to get a Ted Williams signed ball someday.
Well, let me show you. I got one right here. I mean, I love Ted Williams. I have like 6 of his balls.
But that one, that's another one where you really need to know his signature.
You do.
Yep.
No
oh,
doubt.
That's gorgeous.
But
that's
you can
gorgeous.
see. There's a little nick in that ball there. You can see. So that's why I think I got this for less, like $175 back in the day, and it's not certed. But you know, I learned his signature. You can see the D is not opened. He's got a beautiful, you know, penmanship through that D where he I'm never going to be able to match that there. But you know, right in here, you know, he laps over. The D goes into the W, and then the closed A at the end where he goes over it again, and you can see the extra ink there. You know, so there's all these little things because these are all so many forged, and it's on the Bobby Brown, and you can see that this gets full sun in my office. You know what I mean? So these old balls don't fade as fast as some of the newer ones. Like the newer balls that I have, those things will like fade in a minute.
Yeah.
Like they'll literally just like disappear. You'll get them in a PSA holder. It'll say mint on it, PSA 10. Put it up here for a couple weeks. It'll be a PSA 0 with it sealed.
PSA 0.
Yeah, because it'll just disintegrate. Like right in front of your eyes, day by day, it'll just be gone.
And all the photos behind you on the wall are autographed, correct?
Yeah, these are all autographed. But what I did with a lot, like this one is in the frame. This is the Mickey Mantle here. This is an upper deck. So it was in the archival glass, and even though it gets full sun coming here, it hasn't faded. Other ones, like the one up here, the Mantle, that's faded. The DiMaggio is a beautiful pen autograph. I don't know if you can see this. I may have showed this before. Look at this beautiful pen autograph, if you can
Oh yeah.
Wow.
see that.
Yep.
But if you look, you can see where he makes the E, Joe, and you see the pen goes up to the D. It makes a little
Yes.
point at the top.
Yeah.
These are some of the things that you look for when you're buying autographs. The forgers can't do that.
Yeah.
So I wish I would have taken a picture of this and not had this here, and the Ted Williams over here in the upper deck as well. They've held up, and a lot of these here I've taken out now and I've photocopied them. So these could be photocopies, but I have the originals, because I don't want them to fade.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's really what happened. If they've already started to fade, I've kind of just left them. But yeah, these are just some of my favorite poses that I have. But I mean, I have probably 100 photos. And they're neat. They're nice. I mean, do I wish I would have had them on cards? Not really. Am I chasing autograph cards? No.
I'm not. I that's one part I just haven't got. I mean, again, I appreciate the ones who like baseball collectors really really loves on card autographs, and that's great.
Yeah.
I'm that's just not my thing. But that's it. That's just
Well, imagine
just
where I
me.
came from. Imagine where I came from to see a guy like Mike Baker. Okay, with Baker, with the guy that makes these stickers. He was the head of GAI Global. There was there was probably 100,000 Mickey Mantle forgeries that had his certificate on it and their stickers. And his excuse was, well, they were stolen. Okay. Well, he's made that excuse on other things as well. They were the stickers. If something goes wrong, they're stolen. The fact was he put that company out of business, and yet now everybody wants his Mike Baker silver and gold stickers right in the middle of their goddamn card to tell them it's got good eye appeal.
Yeah.
Like who needs that?
Right.
I don't
get that
I
one
don't
at
need
all.
it from a guy that was a complete scam artist with autographs. Now he's not going to get into the autographs this time. He said just grading.
Yeah.
So at least he learned a little bit about that. But so where I came from, getting out of autographs and seeing the scumminess in that, it just all that happened is it just transferred over to baseball cards. It's the same shit, just a different day. Another scam, another day. So I like to say, you got to look out for number one, but don't step in number two. And that's what you're doing when you're buying on-card autos that you can't read, that are signed in the black part of the card. Mm-hmm. So few of them have a sweet spot. I mean, you do occasionally find a really beautiful card you could tell was signed, especially by Mantle, because he was always careful about where he put them. But
you know what, the autographs that get me. So at the end of Musial's life, they had him sign a bunch of stickers, and the autographs are awful because he was really old and his hand. And you'll get a 2022, whatever, I don't know the new stuff, Musial with one of those stickers put on it, autographed. And it's like, he didn't touch that. And the autograph looks like crap,
Or you get these cut autos, besides so many of them being fake, I always would say that I'd rather have a cold cut than a cut auto, because 90% of those cuts were fake anyway.
Yeah.
And then they would put them now into the cards, and half the autograph is cut off, either the end of the guy's name or they cut off the top.
Yep.
It's like, who the hell buys that shit? And
it kills me when I see these bat, Roberto Clemente bat card. I'm like, you cut his bat? Like,
do you really? It's from the fucking barn door. It's not from a bat. They're not. That's the other thing. People buy into this shit like it's gospel when it's all. I mean, in my opinion, you listen to Marshall Fogel. He's a collector of memorabilia that we could only dream of. Right. So, like when you listen to people that know more than me, I listen to these guys. It's basically, you trust nobody in this. You don't trust Heritage to tell you that that's the Babe Ruth called shot jersey. It's a fucking joke. That's no jersey from the called shot. Who's paying $11 million for that? An idiot. And he'll pass the sortie off to another idiot. And the idiocy just continues to ramp up, to the new freshly discovered bullshit and the new fresh to the hobby. It's just so much crap. In my opinion,
Unless,
now there might be a few cases, right? But I'm not going to give them $1 to find out. I don't
yeah,
need to have a relic. If I want a
unless,
goddamn bat, I'll go buy one.
yeah, unless you were there, like unless you were given the bat by the player, or you had the card signed in front of you by that player, you're the only one that knows 100% for sure that person gave me their game used bat or signed this card. Any transaction after that, you could sign any affidavit, you could do whatever. As soon as it changes hands after that first initial contact, you don't know. You don't
And not
know
only that,
100% sure.
Those shoes and that hat behind you, John, aren't those directly from Wade?
Those, he
Like gave them to
cap
you, or you
and
traded or bought them or
yeah,
whatever.
the cap there and the Red Sox cleats came directly from Wade Boggs. I
and I
sent
don't
him a
need
check.
anybody to tell me that. You know what I mean?
But those gloves and those bats. Now, again, Wade signed it, but and he put on their game used bat.
There you go.
But
it must have been.
That's
I
probably
believe
the
him.
closest. But even, not to say that Wade wouldn't, that he would lie or anything like that. But if you show a player a bat, now he may have a very good feeling that, I use this bat. But how many bats?
Dude, these guys, I'm telling you something. These guys have memories. Like if you've ever talked to major league players before. I know a couple of friends that are pitchers. These guys know every damn player that they ever hit, why they hit them, when they hit them. They know every stat they had. And this is like 40 years after the fact.
Right.
If he says he used it in the game, I'd probably bet dollars to donuts that he did.
Yeah. So I have a Red Sox, Yankees, and Devil Rays game used bat, and each one of them has his signature, and it says game used. And the Yankees cleats there have game used on them. The batting glove, I think,
that
has
he actually wrote on that game used.
Yeah, on the cleats it says has a signature, and
he did it for you. You didn't buy them like that.
Yeah.
Well, no, the Yankees cleats I bought.
Okay.
No, but I mean
like
the game
eBay.
used part. You were there when he wrote game used on them, correct?
Well, when he sent me the Red Sox cleats and the cap, at his house he signed it and put game used and sent it to me.
No, but I'm talking about like the bats and stuff that you didn't get from Wade, but he signed them for you and wrote game used on it in front of you.
When I acquired them, they all had Wade Boggs game used signed on it when I bought it from
and
the
you
dealer.
And you see what's going on right now with all these game used patches, and now they're pulling them out, putting new patches in, and these scams, and they're just, so like I said, I just choose, I take a bullet for the hobby because of my strong views. That's probably going to be another petty rant. What's it called? The Petty Minute. On Tony's show.
I'll sit back and listen to
what
this.
I just did about relics, and because everybody wants to throw me under the bus and say, "Oh, you're fucking crazy, dude. Oh, that's all. Don't ruin it." But even if there's a chance that they're not real, I'm not giving them $1. I'd rather spend $20,000 on a trim card. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, on some of these autographs, we might be 99% sure, but unless you were actually there and got the autograph,
PSA won't even grade some of the stuff that people swear they got in person anyway.
Yeah,
they are turning down a lot of stuff in the last 6 months to year. It's been a problem
because I think they're afraid to grade something that may turn out to be so. If there's any little hint, I think they're choosing to say it
especially
can't be
on these cards, on the cards, because you can't see the autograph. I mean, when you start getting into these Michael Jordan signatures, if they paid $1 million a card and they got the cards all up there at the National, you can't even see the goddamn autograph on the card. That card is not conducive for signing.
Right.
The triple Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Dr. J card. Yeah. Who the hell wants that thing when you can't even read one of their signatures on it? It's just, to me, I'd love to have the card. I've met Magic in person. You know what? I've met every one of those guys in person now that I think about it. Which is funny. I met Magic at 2 a.m. out of Gladstone's one night, drunk as a skunk. He's walking out after a playoff game, and we're sitting there closing the place down. He's limping with 2 girls, one on each side. closing the place down from the back. And we're going, Magic. He came over, shook all of our hands. And he said, no, man, I'll be okay. And, he literally, though, spent like a couple minutes. And then he just limped his way out. Nicest guy in the world. Dr. J I ran into in the 1980s at the Sahara Hotel. I was telling this story to a friend of mine the other day about all the people that I've run into out here. This was in the 80s. We were in the back of the parking lot. I was with my buddy. We were walking in, and he asked us, do we know how to get in? Because they were working on the hotel at the time. We said, yeah, follow us. We stalked him. He sat there. He played blackjack. We sat down there. He was playing two hands for $100 each. I thought that was, wow, $100 back in the day. Asked him to sign $100. In the 80s. Asked him to sign a $100 bill. He said, no, I can't. It's defacing money. So my friend gave me his business card. I said, could you sign this? He signed the back of it. And I had it in my wallet for like the longest time.
Yeah.
And the other story that I didn't remember was Larry Bird, because he was the general manager, I think, of the Pacers at the time. My buddy had tickets. He did work for the Clippers. And so he would get tickets either on the court, where I sat next to Shaq one time, but he's not on that card, or he'd get them in the club level that they have there. They're nice. And I went into the bathroom, which they have their private bathrooms there. I go there to take a piss, and then I'm pissing, coming out, washing my hands. Who comes walking in? Larry the Legend with his kid. His little kid at the time. They're going to the bathroom. I go, Larry the Legend. I go, oh my God, I can't. He just, said, hi, how you doing? And that was it. But I just, of all the people, on that card, I ran into
How do
all
you
three
forget that you met Larry Bird?
Yeah.
You know what? Well, I was going through all the
meet Larry.
stories about how the time I sat next to Shaq at the Clippers games, and how I saw Wilt, and how I ran into Jabbar in Westwood walking one time when we were, kids. We used to hang out down there at Westwood. And I just, you can only listen to so many of my stupid stories. And I forgot. And so when I left the guy, I said, shit, I can't believe I forgot to tell him that I pissed with Larry Bird at the Staples Center,
I was in the bathroom, and the urinal right next to me was Reggie Jackson at a card signing.
Where?
At a card signing in northern New Jersey. I was there for Boggs, of course. And the show was wrapping up. My wife and I were getting ready to leave. And of course, we had a long drive back. And I said, hey, I just need to go to the bathroom. And I went in first. And then probably right behind me came Reggie Jackson and went up to the urinal right next to me. I did. I saw him in the corner. I'm like, okay, well, okay. That's
hey, Reggie, what you got going there?
I didn't say anything. He left. I didn't say, hey, Reggie, how do you wherever? Because I'm like, hey, there's a time and a place for everything, right?
That's where you get all your autographs. Yeah,
hang
out in the bathroom. I'm not paying for these.
We both left, and I went to my wife. And I'm like, oh, guess who I took a piss next to? She's like, because she doesn't know sports. She goes, I don't know. I was like, Reggie Jackson. She goes, who? What? I said, that guy over there. And
I think about all the times in the 80s, like at the Forum Club, we used to get in there for free. My buddy ran the security, and like there was all the athletes in there, like James Worthy at the time, and Marcel Dion, the Kings, when he had already been through his career. Tony Danza, he would hang out there. A lot of those guys. So we would. We'd always see them. They were doing, Tony Danza, he was doing blow in the bathroom at the time. And I hate to throw him under the bus. It was the 80s. Yeah. Everything was free.
I don't think anyone's shocked at those guys.
Nobody cared.
You got a trivia question, John?
Oh,
yeah. In the bathroom with Reggie.
No, I don't have this is 1940s trivia. So this is sort of, well,
come on.
No. I think this first one here you'll probably even get, and Dawn, you're on the hook for the second question.
Okay.
And then, I think both of you will get the third one. So here's the first one. I'll do it quick here. 1941 saw Tiger great Hank Greenberg drafted into military service after playing in only 19 games in the season. He had hit 41 home runs in 1940 to win the home run title. Upon his first full season after World War II in 1946, he hit another 44 home runs and won the home run crown again. Which American leaguer won the home run title in 41 and 42 during Greenberg's absence? So in between Greenberg's 2 home run titles, who won the American League home run title in 41 and 42 while Greenberg was in World War II?
I have no idea. I know Ted Williams hit 406 then, one at 41, and DiMaggio had a 56 game hit streak. But boy, I wouldn't know. Who the hell was it? Mel Ott?
That you get. Do you have a guess, Don?
I have no idea.
I
No.
don't know.
It was Ted Williams.
Oh shit! It was.
Didn't he win the Triple Crown
I
in
thought he
41?
might have. Yeah, I thought he might
Yeah.
have.
The
Yeah.
year.
So I thought that was a fairly.
Was that the
easy-
year he won the Triple Crown though?
Didn't he win the Triple Crown twice or not?
I think he did win it in 41 because he didn't get the MVP went to DiMaggio for the streak,
Right.
not
Yeah.
him with the.
So I don't think he
Yeah.
won the.
Ah,
I
how
don't
the
think he
hell
won
did
the
I
Triple
remember that?
Crown then, but I did. He
Yep.
was one of my first guesses, but I didn't. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yep.
I had no idea. Well,
Okay.
we both got
Oh,
missed it.
For
That's
for
hard.
the second trivia question, now Don, I gave you sort of a hint that you should get this. Who hit the most home runs in a season during the 1940s by hitting 54?
Ralph Kiner.
You have a guess, Mike?
Not really. Once again, the 40s not my cup of
Yeah,
tea.
40s.
I mean,
isn't
if
mine.
it could have been to Ralph Kiner. That's a great guess. I don't know.
It is Ralph Kiner.
How do you
Ralph,
like that?
Ralph
I would-
Kiner hit 54 home runs in 1949 for the Pirates. It was the second time in his career that he reached the 50 plateau in a season, hitting 51 in 1947.
So here's the thing about these baseball stats that I really don't remember those even being on my radar. But I mean, I used to love baseball stats. I had the
Yeah.
baseball encyclopedia, and I would read these things like literally all the time. But
Well, when
I
you
don't
said
know.
I should know this, I thought I only guessed Kiner because I figured, oh, you're thinking of Pirate.
Yep.
uh-huh.
All right. The last question here. In 1940, Jimmy Fox hit his 494th career home run, surpassing which Hall of Famer's career home run total of 493? So
What year was this?
1940, Jimmy Fox hit his
Oh, I
494.
think I might know this one.
Good, you answer, then maybe I can piggyback on it.
Lou Gehrig.
Did he have 493?
I'm not
All right.
100% sure.
I have no idea. I wouldn't say. I mean, I don't. It probably is Gehrig.
Well done, Don. Lou Gehrig.
See, if I would have went first, I would have been wrong. I would have never said it. But after you said it, it made sense for sure. I mean, I forgot that he had 493. I mean, I used to be able to tell him in the top 20.
Oh yeah. There's a time where I knew
Back in
like
the
all
day.
the Willie Mays and Willie McCovey and all that, like the home run totals and stuff.
the
And now
fact
it's
that Gehrig
All
got
right, I
cut
got a quick
short.
one for you. Who's
I
the
hope
only
it's not
player?
1940s.
Who's the only player to win the MVP for the regular season, the playoffs, and the World Series all in the same year?
I know
Roberto
that.
Clemente.
No.
I don't know.
You know, John?
I know because I think it was featured on a Showcase Showdown. Was it Willie Stargell?
It was. It was.
No,
So
it was a
that's where I got
Pirate.
it from.
Oh, very nice, Willie.
Yep.
So another
That's
guy.
where I got it from.
1979, right?
I
Correct.
love his player run too. Willie
And I
Stargell.
only would have known that if I wouldn't have known it if I hadn't watched the Showcase Showdown with.
So I'm not
Mike and Chris.
100%. I'm just going by what they said. That could be wrong.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think who was it the other day that was? I think it was Dr. Beckett that was, or somebody was asking Moynihan a bunch of questions like about the baseball cards, like the counting stat, however they did it. But he must have gotten literally 98% of them right. Like how many cards did Nolan Ryan have? You know,
Oh,
how
yeah,
many
he would
cards
know
did
all
Jackie?
that.
How many cards
Yeah,
did
he's got
Jackie
all those
Robinson
runs.
have? Cards like things that going, yeah, I think I know that. I think I know that, and I probably know those kind of stats more than I remember baseball stats these days. Just,
Yeah.
you know. But,
Well, in terms of like recent, there was a time when I could rattle off the World Series winners from the current year going 20, 25 years back. Now, if you ask me to name the last 5 World Series winning, I don't know.
I remember the Dodgers briefly last year. They won. And after that, I can't remember who the hell won.
Yeah.
Literally. I didn't watch it. That's for darn sure. I rarely watch many games anymore.
Same here.
Sad, but that's part of my baseball card budget. No Dodger games, no season. I used to go to tons of games in the 90s.
Mine's the opposite. Our owner is so cheap, I refuse to give him my money.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing is like, if I got free seats to the Dodger game, or I would just tell my friends, look, I'm not paying for parking, because it's just, I'm not giving Frank McCourt $40 to park, or $100 now, whatever it is. Like, I'll buy all your food and all your beer and whatever for the rest of the game, but I'm not paying for parking. It's just like, it just irritates me, for some reason.
Although I say that, but I'll probably go watch Skeen's pitch this year.
If you got that kind of a talent in your backyard and you can go the day of the game, go there and get tickets or whatever like that.
Yeah, I saw him last year, and
even if I'd even go by myself. I don't care.
When I used to travel for work, I'd go to ballparks, minor league and major leagues. If the town only had a minor league team like Indianapolis, I went and saw a AAA game there. Went to Wrigley by myself. I was in Minnesota. I didn't know where the stadium was. I just started following everyone in Twins jerseys. Yeah. And they led me right to the stadium.
They have some rabid fans there. That's for sure, man.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I actually
prefer. Hey guys, regarding your collections, don't be discouraged as far as like, the cards that you're, is my collection good enough or not? Because the fact is, it takes a long time to amass like crap like I've got. And there's always somebody around the corner that has more. It's your neighbor. My neighbors, half of them moved in the neighborhood way before I did. They had more equity, than I did and I paid more for my place. So it's like you never can compare yourself with other collectors that have.
And there's someone watching your channel going, man, I wish my collection was as good as his. So it goes both ways,
The last thing I wanted to ask John though is weren't you doing like 100 cards for 100,000 or something like that?
That was the first list, and I hope to pick some of those cards up off the list at this year's national, maybe even at Strongsville, and then I have a more budget friendly 100 cards for $10,000.
Okay,
which I'm still working. I haven't done a video probably in 3, 4, 5 months because I haven't picked up any off that list.
Well, I think they call that a BHAG. Okay, that's a big hairy ass goal. Yeah. And without that, you would never get there. But I think you're really onto something, because by the time you get those cards, it gives you something to focus on. Yep. It also gives you something that you can be very picky with it. You get the right card, save on a 3 that's perfectly centered, one you love that you're going to cherish forever. And you think that's $100,000 now, it'll probably be worth $1 million by the time you fill it in.
I think the 100 cards for $10,000 list, that is definitely I can get all 100.
How many lists can you do? You're gonna do like 2 different lists. You got $10,000 list, $50,000
if I even get to like 80, 85 out of the 100 for the 100,000 and say, hey, these are just, they're always going to be way above. That would be a success for me.
No, it wouldn't be. You gotta go for it right to the top.
52 Mantl's on the list.
I hope Greg Midlife Crisis doesn't come out with a list, because then you'll have to do it.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to come up with a list. I heard his next show is going to be 100 for 100.
Yeah.
But what would Greg buy? Would Greg stop at 85? No, I don't think so. And if the 52 Mantl's on the list, look, if you don't have goals in life, you're not going to get there.
I need to have a focus, and maybe it's a couple focuses, but I need
never.
Yep.
Never say never. You never know what the future holds for you, or whether you can trade into it, or what your financial future looks like at the end, and whether or not the cards come down. You never know. And
isn't that what Eric Those Back Pages did recently? Didn't he pick up a 52 Mantle and traded a whole bunch of cards?
I wasn't sure about him. The only thing I saw him do was in a dark room crying over no Independence Day. Yeah. No black independence. I got nothing.
The Black Perils of the new release.
Yeah, I got nothing.
But I think he traded.
He did. He traded a bunch of cards.
He was wanting that for a long time. I mean, he probably never thought he could get it either.
think he
So, I
traded a
mean,
couple Hank Aaron rookies, and it was like 20, 30 cards he traded.
where
I
there's a
think.
will, there's a way. Yeah, when you
Yep.
say never, you can't. But a lot of
Hey,
people.
and there's a bank right down the road. I can always, just go in there with a little mask. I can get the money.
No,
I may not be
you'll
able to
get
hold on
the
to the
money.
card very long.
No, but maybe you'll have it for a minute. You can bring
Yeah.
it with you. But yeah, no, it's only money is right. But
Yeah.
yeah, you never know. You never know what the future holds. It took me, 45 years to get one back. I had sent in when I was 13 years old, the old story.
Yeah, I remember.
It's $75. I told you, and I got back a credit memo. So it left a bad taste in my mouth as a kid. Got out, but by 40, it took me 40 something years, and 140% more, or 40
Yeah.
times more,
Yeah.
the amount. But
Did you
so
buy yours in person?
I did.
Yeah, that'd be a hard card not.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
in person.
I ended up. The funny thing is I bought it from a guy who's like really good friends with George.
Okay.
And he at the time it was on on eBay. I noticed he lived here in Studio City, which was pretty close to me. So I reached out to the guy. It was back in the day when you could type in and he could send you a picture of a business card. And he was local. I said, let's meet for lunch. Bring the card. I met him here in where I live at TGIF's. He brought the card. He had a pretty hard bargain, but I had looked at the card. I went on the VCP, saw it was sold, like in 2014 and had a different holder. Then it went to Love of the Game and he reholdered it. And so I got to see, because there was like a little wrinkle in it. And I wanted to make sure it wasn't pressed out or wasn't trimmed. It looked a little wonky. And sure enough, it was on the level, and we made a deal. And in person, I went to the bank, counted him out the money, went over across the other bank. He put it in the in the chute there. He was sweating bullets, But now he's a full-time dealer. He was just he had another job back then, and he sets up right next to George. They're almost like partners.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So I see him at all the local shows. I just love the guy. LA Collection is his name, and that was the first bit of money that I really ever spent on a card, and for sure. But it turned out well for me, in the end.
Sure.
But and it's off center, low eye appeal and everything. But I don't give a shit. It happened at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
It was the right card for me at the time. It's got nice registration, clean, and I'm happy with it. And that's all that matters.
I saw one on Facebook. I think it was Facebook. It had a 52 man with a hole punch right through his face.
Yeah.
Went for like 16, 17 grand. Like,
Brian Gray.
Yeah, it was a hole
that.
punch, and there's some paper on at the bottom or something. And it was a real beater. And I'm like, yes, 16.
That's really wanting a card.
It wasn't really that bad with the hole in it, though. First, I don't think. I mean, it wasn't great, but I mean, those cards, most everything goes for 20 grand if it's worth anything. I've seen a lot worse. And there was a reason why he bought it. I didn't see why, or maybe he had it. He may have owned it at one other point in life.
Yeah, I'm not sure the story behind it, but it may have just been, hey, that's all I can afford and never see myself affording, and I want to get one. And
if I know him, he probably has a high grade one. He's quite a collector. He likes his cards, but I mean, and he sold that company. I don't think he's certain at all. But I think there was more to it than just it was a card that he wanted.
Yeah,
and he would have paid whatever it took to get it. I think that's what I took it as. But so a lot of these cards, they have emotional connections to a lot of people. And what are you gonna do?
No doubt.
Yeah. Well, Mike, we're just a little over an hour here. Great conversation, which I knew it was going to be, and I really look forward to hanging out with you at Strongsville.
Yeah, likewise. I can't wait. I'm looking. We're
going to have just an amazing time, and it's now to the point where Strongsville and the National, to me, is more about connecting with fellow collectors more now than actually picking up cards. That's a big part too. But I went to the National in 2015 and 19 by myself. It was nice, but every National after that I'd been on YouTube and could meet more and more people. That's why I want to go. That's why I want to go to Strongsville. That's why I want to go to the National.
I've had more fun at my local shows here, like in Pasadena, spending $40, $15 on the parking, $15 to get in and $10 for a beer. I'm walking around, not really seeing but I talking to like Levon or You know, George was at one of the shows there too, or just like seeing people that I might, Mikey, and having a drink with him, and
Yeah.
that was fun. Walking the floor and just carrying our beers around, talking and taking a look. So it really was fun. It is fun when you have other friends around with I have another friend that I had since the 1970s, and we went to a show, you know, but he likes the modern stuff, and he specifically liked Mike Schmidt and PSA 10s is all so he goes on his own way, I go on mine. It's not the same as like Strongsville when you know you're really
Yeah.
intimate there, and then after the show, that's the fun part, the drinking, getting to know everybody a little bit, and you know, getting in belly to belly with people. You know, it's fun. Awesome.
Yep.
Getting to sign Don's book. That's
Yeah.
the key.
There you go.
Yes. Yes. So,
All right,
Don,
you guys.
you
Thank
are
you so
going to
much.
be on the you're going to be on the hook for
Right, right
next
here.
year, next guest. Yep.
Yeah, what's that now? I'm sorry.
I didn't hear what he said either.
Oh,
What did you say, John?
Oh, I was
Oh,
just
like-
going to say that you're on the hook for the guest for the next show.
Correct.
So we'll see who that would be. But Mike, we had such a great time.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you
brother.
for
Appreciate
joining
you
us.
coming on.
Yeah, you're never gonna find anybody to follow me, I guess, right?
No.
I know
Yeah,
Don
that
has a
person's
big
screwed.
task ahead
You
of him.
better get Mangini. He'll come on and do a skit for you, card cleaning tricks or something.
All right,
guys.
hey, with that,
Thank you
everyone,
so much for having
thanks
me
for
on.
watching
man.
to this
Love
point,
you guys.
and we'll
Thanks,
see you
Don.
next time.
Thanks, John.